At 9:58, Ruth Bell pointed at the empty cake rack. My brother looked past it and said, "Mara must have missed it." I had written the board myself the night before. The red magnet marked 10 o'clock picked up when I left. Now it sat in the afternoon column. I took a picture before anyone could touch it. Then I asked Owen to keep the morning trays moving, offered Ruth the best substitute we could finish before lunch, and told my brother Daniel that I needed one private minute before my name became the official explanation. That was when my niece Lila came through the swinging door tying her apron. "I only moved one thing," she said. Wren and Pine Bakery had a front room that smelled like coffee and browned butter, and a back room that smelled like work. Daniel liked the front. He remembered names, asked about grandchildren, and could make a customer feel that choosing a lemon cake was a generous act. I belonged in the back. For 20 years, I had arrived while Main Street was still dark. I knew which mixer coughed before it overheated, which rack rolled left, and how long Owen needed to stop checking his own hands after somebody corrected him. I did not own the building. There was no secret paper with my name on it. Daniel had opened the bakery, and I was his prep lead. What I had was ordinary: a key, a schedule, and the habit of doing what I said I would do. Ruth's orders should have been ordinary, too. She and her husband had married at the county courthouse on a wet Thursday 40 years earlier. She wanted a small almond cake with apricot filling and the same blue piping we had used for their daughter's graduation. She had ordered it 3 weeks ahead. Now she stood at the counter with a silver number 40 in a paper bag and tried not to look frightened. "The dinner is at 1, she said. "I can have a smaller almond cake ready by 11:30, I told her. "The filling will be raspberry because the apricot needs more time. Or I can give you the lemon cake in the case now and return what you paid for the custom work." Daniel started to say, "We could manage the original." I looked at him once. He stopped. Ruth chose the smaller almond cake. Owen cleared the next mixer bowl, and I shifted one posted tray without disturbing the noon orders. We did not recreate the cake she had planned. We gave her something honest that could be finished well. Only after she left did I follow Daniel and Lila into the storeroom. The room was narrow enough that sacks of flour brushed my shoulder. Lila leaned against the shelf with her arms crossed. "Tess asked if we could move her tasting box up," she said. So I moved Ruth's pickup marker down. I thought the cake itself was already on the rack. "It wasn't," I said, "because moving a marker changes when I prepare it. I told you Tuesday. You asked if there was any room Thursday afternoon. I told you to put every change on the board and read it back with me." She looked at Daniel. "That's not how I heard it." Daniel rubbed both hands over his face. "Fine. It was crossed wires." "It wasn't," I said. He lowered his hands. I told him exactly what I wanted him to tell Ruth when she returned, that the pickup time had been changed incorrectly and that I had not forgotten her cake. "Why does that distinction matter right now?" he asked. "We're fixing it." "Because you used my name." Lila pushed away from the shelf. "I said I moved it. What else do you want?" "I want the customer who heard that I failed her to hear that I didn't." Daniel glanced toward the kitchen as if a timer might rescue him. "Let me call it a family mix-up. We don't need to embarrass Lila over one magnet." There it was, the second problem, larger than the first. Someone had moved the work. Daniel had moved the blame. And he wanted me to carry both because I was the person most likely to keep the ovens on. "Tell Ruth the truth," I said. "Keep this in the family, Mara." Then, without even pausing, he asked if I could make Friday's production list before I left because nobody organized it as well as I did. I went back to the kitchen and finished Ruth's replacement cake. That part matters. I did not throw down my apron. I did not let the other orders burn so Daniel could discover my value in smoke. 5 people had paid us for things we had promised that morning. None of them had moved Ruth's magnet, and none of them had blamed me. I finished the work on the board. At 11:20, I set the smaller cake on a white round and watched Owen pipe the bottom border. His first loop sagged. "Don't chase it," I said. "Make the next loop the size you intended." He did. By the fourth loop, his hand had settled. Owen was 32, old enough that calling him a kid would have been an insult, though Daniel still did it. He had worked with us for 9 months. He was careful, quick to apologize, and convinced that every correction was the beginning of being fired. Lila came in carrying a tray of chocolate cups. "These need space," she said. There was no tag on the tray. "For what order?" I asked. "Tessa's tasting. She's coming at 2. Put it on the board. They're already made. Then it should be easy to write down." She stared at me as if I had changed the language we spoke at work. Normally, I would have found a corner in the cooler, shifted the fruit tarts, and written the tag myself. I would have told myself it took less time to fix the problem than discuss it. That had been true each time. It had not been true across years. Lila wrote the tasting box on the board. Owen looked from her to me. "Read me the afternoon," I said. He did. 2 birthday pickups. 1 Arts Center cookie order. Tessa's tasting box. Ruth at 11:30. "And if something moves?" I asked. "We move the marker, the tray tag, and the duplicate slip," he said. "Then we read it back." He nodded. It was not testimony. I was teaching a coworker how not to be surprised by his own shift. Ruth returned at 11:28. The replacement cake was boxed. Daniel took it to the counter while I washed the blue piping from my hands. I waited for him to correct himself. He told her he was sorry about our little scheduling mix-up. He did not say my name at all. Ruth thanked us for helping. Before she left, she looked through the window in the swinging door and lifted the box slightly toward me. I raised a hand. That kindness made the omission hurt more, not less. After lunch, I took an index card from the holder beside the phone. I wrote down 3 times from the previous 2 weeks when I had quietly repaired unposted promises. There had been the 6 dozen breakfast rolls Lila accepted after the morning list was full. I came in at 3:30. There had been a tray of dairy-free cupcakes she offered for a book club. I had caught the missing tag before the wrong frosting went on them. We remade the tray. Nobody was harmed. There had been the tasting box now taking space in the cooler. Lila had promised it before asking when it could fit. I carried the card into Daniel's office after closing. His office had 1 good chair and 1 chair everyone avoided because it leaned toward the filing cabinet. He sat in the good one. I stayed standing. "I'm not building a case," I said. "I'm explaining why this morning wasn't 1 magnet." Daniel read the card. "You've always helped when we get squeezed." "Yes, that is what family businesses do." "Then family businesses can also say who caused the squeeze." His mouth tightened. "Do you hear yourself?" Lila made a scheduling mistake. "You're keeping score like she did something to you." "You did something to me. You named me." He looked down at the card again. Daniel was 7 years younger than I was. When our father left, Daniel had been 11 and angry at every closed door. I was 18 and had already learned how to make our home feel steady when it was not. Later, when Daniel wanted to open the bakery, I helped paint the walls. When his marriage ended, I covered mornings so he could take Lila to school. Those memories were real. So was the habit they had built. Daniel did not order me to rescue him. He simply arranged his life around the belief that I would. "Starting Friday," I said, "I will work the orders posted for my shift. I won't come early for promises I wasn't asked about. I won't move other orders to hide a change." He gave a short, tired laugh. "So you're going to let the place fail to make a point?" "No. I'm going to let the board tell us what the place can do. Same thing, with prettier words. Correct, Ruth, Daniel. He slid the card back to me. Go home. We're both exhausted. I did go home. That was harder than it sounds. For years, I checked the bakery message line after dinner. That Thursday, I put my phone in the kitchen drawer and heated soup. At 8:15, the drawer buzzed. At 8:20, it buzzed again. I opened it at 9. Lila had sent a picture of Friday's board with a question about adding 24 scones. Daniel had sent, "Can you just tell her where they fit?" I answered, "There is space after 2. Post them there if the customer agrees." Then I closed the drawer. Friday did not bring a grand collapse. It brought 10 small inconveniences. Lila had to call a customer and move a pickup by 30 minutes. Daniel had to carry flour from the storeroom because I was finishing a posted tart order. Owen asked me where to put a tray, and I asked what its tag said. He found the space himself. At noon, Lila promised a walk-in customer a tasting box for Saturday morning. "What time?" I asked. "It's only 6 samples." "What time?" She looked at the board. 10. There's one mixer free at 8:30. If Owen takes the bread glaze. Owen checked the list and said, "I can?" Lila wrote the order. No one applauded. Nothing dramatic happened. The box was ready Saturday at 10 because the work had existed in the same place for everybody. That should have reassured Daniel. Instead, the small delay from Thursday and the phone call on Friday frightened him. For years, our schedule had appeared more generous than it was, because my time had no visible edge. Now the edge was showing. Late Friday afternoon, Lila stood at the front counter talking to a man named Eric Hale, who coordinated a volunteer luncheon. He needed 8 sheet cakes by noon Monday. Our normal custom calendar was already full with 4 birthday cakes and a retirement order. I heard Lila say, "We can handle that." Daniel came out of his office. 8? He asked. "Simple decoration," Lila said. "It would be good for us. People from half the town will be there." I rolled the cooling rack beside the board. "The retirement cakes take the lower oven until 9, I said. "The birthday layers use both cooling racks from 9:30 to 11. Lila did not look at me. "We can start earlier." "Who is we?" Daniel studied the board. He knew what it said. He also saw Eric waiting at the counter and Lila waiting for him to trust her. "Take it," he said. "We'll work it out." Lila wrote, 8 sheets, Hale, Monday, 12 in green marker. Then she turned to me. "I'll manage Monday myself." "All right," I said. "Keep them coming." Her expression changed. I think she had expected an argument she could defeat. Agreement left her alone with the promise. The next afternoon, Owen and I delivered the Art Center's cookie boxes. The Bellwether Arts Center occupied an old elementary school, with wide hallways and hooks still mounted low on the walls. June Alvarez met us in the community kitchen. June was in her 60s, with silver hair cut close and flour on one sleeve, though she had not been baking. She had tried to open one of our boxes upside down. "Owen tells me you teach without making a person feel foolish," she said. I looked at him. He adjusted his grip on the empty crate. "She does." June was organizing Saturday classes for adults who had always wanted to learn basic baking. Their first instructor had moved away. She asked if I would teach one class the following month. My answer rose automatically. "The bakery can't spare me on Saturdays." Owen glanced at the wall calendar beside us. "That one is the 3rd Saturday," he said. "You're not on until Sunday that week." I almost told him schedules changed. Then I understood that was the problem. "One class," I told June. "Biscuits? Nothing that needs 12 kinds of equipment." June smiled. "One class. Biscuits." She handed me a blue appointment card. I wrote the date on my own calendar when I got home. I did not put it on the bakery board because it did not belong to the bakery. Daniel called me Saturday evening. "You volunteered to teach somewhere else?" The question was so immediate that I knew Owen had mentioned it, probably without understanding it was forbidden news. I agreed to one class on a day I am not scheduled. "We may need prep that weekend. Then post my hours before I agree to the class." "You have never made me ask you like this." "I know." We were quiet. "Are you leaving?" he asked. It was the first honest question he had asked me since Ruth walked in. "I don't know," I said. On Sunday, after we closed, Daniel followed me to the loading step. The alley behind Wren and Pine held the heat longer than Main Street. He loosened his apron and sat beside me. "Lila is trying," he said. "I know. She thinks you see her as a child. I see her as the adult who moved in order and let you blame me." She panicked. "You didn't." Daniel looked toward the dumpster enclosure. "No." That one word mattered. It was not enough, but it mattered. He said Lila had struggled after community college, drifting between jobs and returning home, convinced everybody saw her as temporary. The bakery was the first place where she believed she might build something. Daniel wanted her to feel trusted. I understood that. I remembered her at 14, piping crooked stars onto wax paper while Daniel told her each one was better. I had loved her then. I loved her on the loading step, too. Love did not make her version of Thursday true. "Call Ruth," I said. Daniel sighed. "She has her cake. You want me to reopen this so you can hear me say you were right. I want you to correct the person you corrected me in front of." "And then what? I take the board away from my daughter?" "I announce that my sister is the only competent person here." I didn't ask for either. "I can give you more authority," he said. "Officially. You make the production decisions. Lila handles clients. Everybody gets something." For a moment, the offer warmed the oldest, tired place in me. I had wanted him to name what I did. I had wanted my judgment to count before there was a crisis. Then I saw the bargain clearly. He would call me indispensable, so he would not have to call me wronged. "No," I said. He looked startled. "I don't want a better title attached to a lie. I want you to tell Ruth I did not forget her cake. I want every schedule change posted and read back. I want you to ask before you build an order around my extra hours. Monday is going to be rough. Reduce the hail order. Call tonight." Lila promised 8. Then Lila can call. You really will watch me fail. I am watching you choose. I regretted the sentence as soon as I said it because it sounded sharper than I felt. Daniel was not a stranger I wanted to defeat. He was my brother, sitting beside me with flour on his shoes, asking me to return to a place where love meant being available for blame. I stood. "I'll be there at 5:30, I said. That is when my posted shift starts. At 9 Sunday night, Lila called. She did not say hello. "If you start at 4, we can have the first sheets cooling before the birthday layers go in." I start at 5:30. Uncle Owen can't run the lower oven alone. Owen isn't your uncle. You know what I mean. I do. Ask Daniel to reduce the order to 6. That fits if the customer accepts simpler decoration. I already promised 8. Then you need to decide whether keeping the number matters more than giving him an honest pickup. Her breath sounded close to the phone. You want me to fail because you think Dad chose me over you? I want you to stop choosing work for me without asking. This is our family's bakery. Yes. Then act like family. There were a dozen answers I could have given. I chose the plain one. Family does not mean my time becomes yours when you are afraid. She went silent. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. I'm tired of being the person everyone expects to leave, she said. Dad finally trusts me with something. That was the closest she came to telling me the truth before Monday. Then give him something he can trust, I said. Call Eric. She hung up without answering. I set my alarm for 4:45, the same time I set it for every 5:30 shift. Then I lay awake until after midnight, imagining racks colliding in the narrow aisle. At 4 in the morning, I almost changed the alarm. I had done that so many times before that my hand knew the movement. Earlier alarm. Quiet close. Car through empty streets. A problem solved before anyone saw there had been one. I put the phone face down. At 5:30 Monday, the bakery lights were already on. Lila stood at the mixer with batter on her sleeve. Daniel was lining pans. Owen was glazing the retirement cakes. Nobody looked triumphant. I hung my bag beneath my apron and read the board. The hail order still said 8. "Morning," I said. Daniel's eyes were red. "Morning." I started the posted birthday layers. By 6:15, the first hail sheets were in the lower oven. At 6:40, Lila tried to slide one birthday tag to the second rack. I put it back. That cake is due at 10:30. I need the space. Call Eric and reduce the order. Stop saying that! It is still the available choice. At 7:10, Daniel asked if I could mix one additional hail batch while my birthday layers cooled. No, I said. The retirement filling is next on my list. It will take 10 minutes. I tapped the birthday order due first. Daniel looked at it, looked at the empty bowl, and mixed the extra batch himself. At 8, every surface held something warm. Buttercream softened too quickly near the lower oven. Owen moved the retirement cakes exactly where the board told him. Lila reached for their tray tags. "Don't," he said. It was not dramatic. He did not accuse her of anything. "Those are mine until 9, he added. Mara read them back with me. Lila snatched her hand away. At 9:15, the hail order was 2 sheets behind. Daniel could see it. Lila could see it. Nobody had discovered a secret. The morning was simply arriving where their choices had pointed. "Call him now," I said. Daniel looked at Lila. She shook her head. "I can finish." "Not 8 by noon," I said. "You could if you wanted." I turned to her. "That is true," I said. "If I move the birthday work and stay past my shift, I could help you hide the promise." "I am not doing that." Daniel flinched at the word hide. At 10:30, the first birthday customer left with her cake on time. At 11, the retirement order was boxed. The hail sheets were cooling, undecorated, with less than an hour left. Then the front bell rang twice. Eric Hale came in wearing a volunteer badge. Behind him was Ruth Bell, carrying the white cake board from Thursday. Ruth smiled at me through the door window. I wanted to pay for the difference. My husband loved it. Daniel walked to the counter. Eric pointed toward the racks. "Are those ours?" "The driver needs to load at 11:40. Lila came out behind Daniel. "We had a rack change this morning," she said. Mara moved the birthday cakes ahead. The bakery became very quiet. I wiped my hands and stepped to the opening between the counter and kitchen. "I completed the birthday orders at the times on the board," I said. "Lila, tell Eric what you scheduled." Her face reddened. "I scheduled 8 for noon. You control production." "Did I agree to change the posted work or add hours?" "You changed the rack." "I did not." "No one else is authorized to move production." The two statements sat beside each other. If only I could move the rack, then Lila's first excuse was false. If Lila could move it, then her second was. Owen stayed at his table. Ruth looked from Lila to the red magnets on the board. Eric said, "I don't need a family argument. I need to know what is ready." 4 sheets will be boxed by noon, I said. 2 more can be ready at 1 with simple borders. 8 cannot be ready, honestly. Daniel looked at me. It was the same look he had given me Thursday, waiting for me to become the explanation. I did not look away. I also did not help him choose. Ruth set her empty cake board on the counter. "Was this what happened to mine?" she asked. Lila said, "That was different." "Mara forgot yours," Daniel began. Then he stopped. Owen kept glazing. Eric waited. Ruth waited. Lila's chin lifted, as if she could hold her place by refusing to move. Daniel put both palms on the counter. "No," he said. "Mara did not forget your cake." Ruth's eyes shifted to me. Daniel continued. "The pickup marker was moved after the schedule was set. I knew there had been a change, and I blamed Mara before I checked. Then I asked her to let me call it a mix-up. That was wrong." He turned to Eric. "I also approved 8 sheets when our posted work only allowed 6. I can give you 4 at noon and 2 at 1. I'll understand if that does not work." Eric looked at the clock, then at the 4 cooling cakes. 4 at noon and 2 at 1, he said. "We'll serve the first tables later." No one cheered. There was no hidden owner in the doorway, no inspector, no customer who could erase 20 years with a speech. There was only my brother, finally allowing the cost of the truth to land where it belonged. Daniel turned to Lila. "After today, custom changes get read back by 2 people. You won't schedule them alone for now." Lila stared at him. "Because she embarrassed me? Because I let you promise work without making you answer for it," he said. "And because I blamed Mara for the result." She untied her apron so hard the string snapped against her side. "Fine." She went into the back. A moment later, I heard pans being stacked. She did not leave. She worked the narrow job in front of her. Ruth pushed the cake board toward Daniel. "You don't owe me more money," she said. "I came because your sister gave me a good cake on a bad morning." Then she looked at me. I'm glad he said it where I could hear. So was I. The relief was not clean. Part of me wanted Daniel's correction to return us immediately to the loading step 20 years earlier, when we had painted the bakery walls and believed shared work would keep us close. Instead, I felt tired. Daniel asked if I would stay through the afternoon. I looked at the board. My shift ended at 1. "I'll stay for the shift that's posted," I said. At 1, 4 hail cakes were gone, and the final 2 were bordered. Owen could box them. Daniel knew how to finish the invoice. Lila was washing bowls without speaking to me. I took off my apron. Daniel followed me to the back door. "Mara." I waited. "I am sorry." I believed he was sorry. I did not yet trust what he would do the next time sorrow competed with convenience. "I heard you," I said. 1 week later, I stood in the Arts Center kitchen with 12 adults and a bowl of flour. June had printed "Biscuits with Mara Wren" on the sign outside. Seeing my name there unsettled me more than I expected. It was not a grand title. Nobody was promising me a television show or a second bakery. 12 people had paid a small class fee to learn why cold butter mattered. That was enough. One man pressed his dough too hard and apologized. "Don't apologize to it," I said. "Fold it once and see what it gives you." The class laughed, including him. When the first trays came out, the biscuits leaned in 12 different directions. People took pictures anyway. June asked if I would teach again the next month. I checked my own calendar. "The 3rd Saturday works," I said. At Wren and Pine, Daniel reduced the custom menu for 6 weeks. He stopped promising 6 sizes of everything. The board looked less impressive and told more truth. I worked Tuesday and Sunday mornings. If Daniel needed another shift, he asked by Thursday. Sometimes I said yes. Twice I said no. On both those days, the bakery opened anyway. Owen began doing the morning readback. Lila handled counter orders and standard cakes. She was polite to me, which was not the same as repair. I did not demand more. Accountability had given her a smaller place to rebuild from. Whether she used it was hers. 3 weeks after the hail order, she brought me a custom request before writing it down. "Can this fit next Sunday?" she asked. I checked the board. At 2. She wrote 2. Then she waited while Owen read it back. She did not apologize. She also did not move the magnet later. With Daniel, change came in ordinary questions. Can you cover Tuesday? Do you want your name on the workshop cookies? Is Lila's tasting box in your way? At first, every question sounded rehearsed. Then one morning he accepted no without explaining why yes would help him. That was when I began to believe the questions might last. 6 weeks after Ruth's anniversary, I came in for my Sunday shift and found Daniel at the board. He held a red pickup magnet between 2 fingers. "The library wants to move from 11 to 1, he said. "Does this work for you?" His hand stayed still. The old Daniel would already have placed it. The old Mara would already have made room. I read the board. There was space at 1, but only if the lemon layers cooled on the lower rack. "Yes," I said. "Put the tray tag on the lower rack and ask Owen to read it back." Daniel moved the magnet. Then he waited for Owen.